All right, today I want to go over with you how to program your timer. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is the function keys: the week, the hour, minute, second, clock, timer, CR button, which when depressed brings you back to your last entry, the red manual button, and then this little round C clear button for a hard reset. The only time you'll probably do a hard reset is when you initially enter in your program the very first time, or if you have multiple errors that you cannot correct, then you may need to do a hard reset. So today, to get started, let's do a hard reset. Depress the little small button for 2 or 3 seconds with a object such as a paper clip, and you will notice that this screen shows all zeros when it started and the seconds begin to move. Not all of the screens will show 0 on a hard reset. Some of them I've noticed shows 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. It really doesn't matter as long as you get the hard reset back to factory settings. Also, when I depress this, you'll notice it shows auto. What controls the 3 options down here, there's auto, off, and on, is the manual button, the little red button here. And when I depress this, you will notice it move. It went to off, auto, on. And you can toggle through these. You're going to do the functions in this today in the off position. I caution you to remember to put it on auto in the field when you leave, because this will turn on the timer to go on automatically at your pre-programmed times. The on button is good just to check the unit to make sure things are running properly. But to program it, I recommend programming in the off position. So the first thing you want to do is set the clock. To set the clock, you will depress the clock button. Hold it down. This is the only time you will hold a button down until you have finished your entry. All the others you will press one time. So once I have depressed this button, then I'm going to first select the week. And you will notice as I depress the week, it toggles across each weekday. So let's just say today is Tuesday. Then I need to set the time. Let's say it's 3:05. You don't really need to do the seconds. Once you have the correct time, let off of the button and it has entered that information into the timer. If you need to make a correction, simply depress it and continue setting your timer. Once you have that set, then you're ready to do your on-off settings. To do so, you will depress the timer one time. On the first time you do this, you will notice a 01 on shows up and then little blanks. But we first need to determine the day of the week or days of the week we want this to come on. So depress the week button one time. When you do, you will notice every day of the week appears. That is most likely the proper place that you would want to have your timer programmed. If not, you can toggle through here and it goes through a menu of options each day and a combination of days until you get back to every day of the week, which is most likely, again, the option you want. So it will go through the cycle you have programmed every day at the same time. Now that I've done that, let's enter in a on time. Let's just use 1 o'clock. So now I want the unit to come on at 1 o'clock. I want it to go off at 1 o'clock and 10 seconds. When I press the timer the second time, you will notice that it goes to 01 off. Now I enter in my off time. And here's where most people go wrong. If there is a timing error, it is done usually on the second entry. I'm going to enter 10 seconds. If you make a mistake and enter 10 minutes, it will run 10 minutes and it will begin to draw your battery down. So I have 10 seconds. Let's do another entry. I'm going to put 2 o'clock. For on, off will be also 2 o'clock and 10 seconds. Let's do a third entry. We will go 3 o'clock, and let's do 30 minutes, 3:30. If you hold that down, you notice it goes very fast to the time that you are wanting to put in the timer. Now I'm at 3:30, and now that's the on. I'm going to go to off, and I'm going to go back to 3, and I've got to go to 30 again. This is where mistakes are made. Back to 30 and 10 seconds. 10 seconds is a good starting point depending upon your battery and your solar panel size. You may even be able to go up to 30 seconds or so for each entry. Now, there are 28 entries that you can do. This is number 4, but there are 28 entries that you can do in a 24-hour period. I'm gonna go back to clock. Now, I only entered in 3, but you could enter in 28. Now, once you entered those in, the best thing to do is to go back at this point and review your settings, remembering that the clock is based upon Army time. So it starts at 0 and it goes to 24. So when you check your timer, you press once, 1 o'clock. On, 1 o'clock, 10 seconds, off. 2 o'clock, on. 2 o'clock and 10 seconds, off. 3:30, back on. 3:30 and 10 seconds, off. The rest of these I did not enter. You can enter again up to 28. If you're satisfied with all your settings, go back to clock, and now you're ready to have this turned on automatic when you leave in the field. I highly recommend that you pre-program the timer before you get in the field, because sometimes it will rain and sometimes the sun will shine and you won't be able to see the screen for a glare or something like that. Get in a comfortable place and be sure you have the timer set properly. The most common reason for a dead battery upon your return to the unit is improper entries into the timer where it ran too long and ran the battery down. The fewer entries you do, the longer you can run in each entry and maintain your battery strength. So once you have set it on auto, you're ready to leave the unit. Now, sometimes people will call and say, I have an error in my screen. Usually it comes up in the lower left corner, an E1 or an E2. What E1 means is there is an error in the first entry or the on position. The E2 means there is an error in the second or the off position. And if you're diligent, you can go back through the menu and find your error and correct it, and you will be good to go. I would not put this in service if you see an E until you have it fixed, because you don't know where the error is. If you cannot find the error, unfortunately, do a hard reset and redo the entries. But let's make a mistake intentionally to show you how to correct the error. So let's look at our timers. We have 1, 2, 3, and now number 4. Let's just say I don't put a time in here accidentally, but I know I want to go off at 4 o'clock and 10 seconds. But I didn't put a time to go on. Now, I'm going to go back to clock, and you'll notice E1 showed up, which means there is an error in the on position. To find that, go back to your timer and go real slow and diligent and look at each one of them to make sure that they are properly programmed. There it is. I didn't put one there. So let's put in 4 o'clock because I wanted it to come on at 4 and go off at 4:10. So now it's on 4 o'clock, off at 4 o'clock and 10 seconds. Go back to clock and you will notice the E1 disappeared. So I have corrected my error. The same would be true with an E2. And you may have multiple errors. Be very cautious in timing this, because again, that's where most errors occur, is in programming. Go through each setting to make sure it's correct. If you feel like you've got it correct and you have any problems, please let us know. We'll be glad to help you at any time. Thank you for watching.